Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay everyone, so I don't really have any updates for you guys, so I guess we're just gonna jump straight into things. Okay everyone, before we get into today's story time, I would like to give a big shout out to Kenzie for sponsoring today's video. So Kenzie is a IPL handheld device which is used for hair removal that looks like this. But it's not a laser device. Pretty much the difference is an IPL device is safer to use at home, and any hair removal laser type of thing is not safe to use at home. So I have been using Kenzie now for about a month because, you know, I've been shaving for around 7 years, okay? And it pains me to say that after all of this time, I still have not mastered how to avoid ingrown hairs and irritation because I have very sensitive skin. But wait, there's also more. I have also gotten my legs waxed. And you know, I was committed to it for about 6 months, right? But after every session, I am still seeing patches of hair that are left on my legs. And they said, every time that you come back and you get waxed, your hair's gonna grow in thinner and slower. Yeah, that just like was not the case at all. So then I go back to shaving, but that didn't even last a week because I'm looking up laser hair removal, which just so happened to be way too expensive. And then I found Kenzie. And after doing my research about the device, I decided that if I was willing to put my legs through the pain of waxing, what would be the harm in trying an IPL device? So everyone's results are going to be different. I started seeing results in 2 to 3 weeks, which I did not expect because TMI, I have really thick hair, not just on my head. So with that being said, that made me like ecstatic because they did say that full results can be seen at only 12 weeks. Mind blown. But I'm pretty much just going to tell you guys the changes that I've seen in my hair growth so far. One, my hair has been growing back slower and thinner. Not the slowest because, like I said, I'm only like a month in. Also, I feel like when you get this device, you know what you're getting into. They send you a pamphlet of everything you need to know, but they also send you a skin tone chart. And this is what it looks like. And pretty much it's just telling you what intensity you should be using based on your skin tone. Okay, everyone, so popping in the video. So this is the Kenzie, and to turn it on you need to hold this button. Right now mine is on. You can probably hear the fan running, but every time that you press the power button you can change the level. So I'm gonna press mine one more time because I want it on 3, and make sure not to use it on tanned skins. So today we are going to do my armpits, and you're gonna want to make sure that the area is shaved before or else it's not gonna work. Okay, so now we are going to put the device all the way against our skin, and we are going to press the pulse button. One thing I would also like to mention about Kenzie is that she is saving me time and money. Listen, I know the price of this device might seem a little bit scary, but when you really look at it from a logical point of view, you're paying one time for a device that can be used as many times as you want. Not to mention, it does not run off of batteries. It is rechargeable, so all you have to do is plug it in and you're good. Because I hate buying something and then having to keep spending money on it over and over and over again. Also, one of my favorite things is if you don't have the money right away, Kenzie has a payment plan that you could also do. Not to mention, if you do not think that Kenzie is for you, which I doubt that you will think that, you have 90 days to decide and you're guaranteed your money back. Also, there's a 12-month warranty on the device, so kind of a win-or-win situation. So if you guys are interested in this device, you can save $50 whenever you use my code Kaylie, making the device $199 instead of $249. So you can either click the link down below in the description, or you can go to www.kenzie.com and use the code there. Also, if you guys are thinking about or going to try this device, let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, let's get into today's story time. All right, I'm going to bring you guys up close. There we go. Okay, so today for the makeup, we're gonna do a Steelers themed look since 1, I love the Steelers, and 2, they're playing today. But here's the quick usual little rundown for everybody who might be new here. For most of the video, I'll be looking in this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I'm doing. I do tell these story times in a first person point of view. If you don't like that, then you can leave. And these story times are sent in by anonymous people. Okay, so story time. My neighbor cheated on his wife with me. Not a proud moment. Okay, so a little background information. I was 18 and it was the summer before I started college, and we are going to call my neighbor Robbie. Robbie and his wife have lived next to my family and I for as long as I can remember, and they've always been super good to me, and they've always treated me like I was their own, to be honest. But whenever I turned 4, Ashley, which is his wife, was having a lot of issues trying to get pregnant. She was going through all these fertility treatments and nothing was working. Like, I remember her coming over almost every night of the week for 2 months straight, crying to my mom about how she wanted a baby. She was jealous of my mom, but not like in a like mean jealous way. It's just like in a jealous way of like, oh my gosh, like I want what she has, not I'm gonna steal what she has because I don't like her. No, not that way. So then my mom had suggested that they adopt, right? Which sounds like the logical explanation whenever you can't have kids. But Robbie said that he would never go for that. Mainly because if it wasn't from him, he did not want it. He said that he would rather fuck someone else and have a baby that way, so that way it could at least be his. He didn't care if it was Ashley's or not. Why? Because men are pigs. Anyways, which he's honestly a dick for that, because since he didn't want to adopt, she obviously respected him, you know, so she just still couldn't have kids, but she just never looked further into adopting because of him. Honestly, that is so rude. So like I said, Robbie and Ashley were like my second parents, right? They had taken me to Disney World way more times than I can count on both hands. They would watch me whenever my parents went out of town, or even if I just wanted to spend the night at their house, I would just spend the night over there. And they spoiled the hell out of me. Because say I wanted to have a sleepover with all my friends, right? And my mom said no. All I would have to do is call up Ashley and be like, yeah, no, I really want to have a sleepover with all my friends, but my mom said that I can't do it here tonight because my dad's working. And she would be like, okay, well, you know, I'll talk to your mom and you and your friends can come over here tonight. I loved it. So fast forward a little bit, around the time that I was 7 years old, Ashley and Robbie had came over to my house to talk to my parents the one night, and they had come up with this idea, right? And they were talking about this while I was supposed to be asleep upstairs in my room, but I was not. Besides the point, we're gonna call my mom Mary, okay? They were like, Mary, we just love your daughter so much, and we really just want a kid of our own. At this point, the conversation's getting a little bit weird. And my mom's like, okay, what does that have to do with my daughter? And they were like, well, we wanted to know if you would have a baby with Robbie. What the fuck? You know, I could not imagine being in their shoes and having like a conversation with someone like this. Like, first of all, it's probably very intimidating and very uncomfortable. And to be on the other end of the conversation, you're probably like, get these people out of my fucking house. Anyways, back to the story. Now, that wasn't exactly how the conversation went down because I was only like 6 or 7 years old. But to sum it up, that's pretty much what it was about. And my mom and dad were like super weirded out, and they told Robbie and Ashley that they would think about it. But as soon as they left, my mom and my dad got into a huge argument over this. Because my mom, being the sweet, nurturing person that she is, she's like, well, I feel really bad, you know, like, Ashley really wants a baby. She gets along with me so well. I just don't know what to do. Like, they would be such good parents. And my dad was like, yeah, that's great. Like, that is amazing. You know, they're really good second parents to our kid, you know, but I will not have you carrying around another man's child in our marriage. So my mom had to break the news to them, okay? And I remember because she had Ashley over, Robbie was like on a business trip or whatever. And she's like, yeah, you know, my husband just isn't feeling it. He's really not. She's like, I tried to talk him into it, but I'm so sorry, Ashley. And Ashley's like fucking bawling her eyes out, you know, crying. And she was like, I just wish that, you know, he knew how we felt, you know, blah, 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 blah. And my mom was like, listen, he knows how you feel, but I have to respect his wishes. So after that, Ashley didn't really come around for a little bit. I don't think it was because she was mad at my mom. I think it was more because she was embarrassed. and everything just felt really awkward after that. But things started to get really depressing with them because they weren't taking care of their house anymore, their yard. Like usually they were like the first ones to have everything ready for the summer, you know, like decorations out, yard completely mowed, flowers planted everywhere. But now it literally looked like an abandoned house with grass that was like all the way up to the freaking mailbox. And every time that we saw Ashley, she was in her pajamas, just looked like she hadn't had a shower in weeks, you know, really depressive episode. But you know what, it really hurt my mom seeing them like this. So eventually her and my dad went over to their house and talked to them and pretty much like tried to pull them out of this depression that they were in, because nobody deserves to live like that. First of all, I want to blame this all on fucking Robbie, okay? Let your wife, just let her have a kid. Let her adopt. Like, why do you gotta be a dick? Huh? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I'm blaming Robbie. But like I said, my parents went over there, they talked to them, and, you know, they tried to cheer them up about everything and pull them out of this little depression that they were in. And, you know, it took a few weeks of encouragement from my parents, you know, like my parents literally forcing them to call landscapers, you know, for the house. My mom taking Ashley to go grocery shopping because they'd been ordering takeout for like the past 4 months. But eventually they were back to their old selves, period. But fast forward, now I am 14 years old, right? And I am no longer interested in toys and video games. Now I'm more interested in boys, clothes, shoes, jewelry. And my parents did not have money like that. Like, sure, we lived in a really nice neighborhood and, you know, we had a nice house, but it was one of those situations where, you know, we could afford the nice house, but we couldn't afford the nice things to go with it. But Ashley and Robbie, on the other hand, Robbie's parents had a ton of money, okay? Like, they were loaded, but they had passed away in a car accident, I think maybe 2 years before I was born, and Robbie inherited a ton of money because he was also their only son. So anytime that I would go over to their house, it would always be, hey, do you want to go shopping? You know, do we want to go do this? Do we want to go do that? And my mom did have a problem with this at first. She was like, listen, Ashley, like, you can't keep buying her all this stuff. Like, I don't have the money to pay you back. Like, we're struggling. And after like 2 years of Ashley doing this though, my mom told her, listen, like, you can take her to go and do this stuff, but I can't pay you back. And I just want you to know that. So I pretty much got whatever I wanted. Like before school, you know, she would take me school clothes shopping, like school clothes shopping. And we would go and get our hair done, our nails done, you know. We would go on many back to school vacations. And my parents were completely fine with this. Like they actually did not give a fuck, which I was surprised about. All right, so I think at this point, you guys get the vibes. They're like my second parents. Okay, and if you didn't get that vibe yet, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, anytime that I needed Ashley, she was always there. Like, she would come to my soccer games that my parents couldn't go to. My parents never went to any of my school plays, but guess who was there? Robbie and Ashley. Anyways, you guys get the gist, okay? Well, literally since my first day of my senior year in high school, I have been talking about wanting to go on a trip before I start college. And my parents were like, we don't think you need to do that. So what do? Obviously, I tell Robbie and Ashley about it. Also, my birthday was in the summer, so like this worked perfectly for a birthday trip slash going to college trip. And listen, I barely had any freaking friends right now, okay? But after my senior year, a whole bunch of drama went down, and of course it was the last month of school and I was in the middle of it. So now I'm going to a college where I have no friends, and I have no friends to possibly bring on this trip with me. But here's another issue. My parents are going up to Michigan to visit my sick aunt, great aunt, who's literally 94. And Ashley was going to visit her sister because her sister is also having fertility issues right now. So everybody was gonna be at my party. It's just that after my party, everybody was gonna be poof, gone. So fast forward to my birthday party. Ashley and Robbie obviously got me a ton of gifts for my birthday. They always go all out, always. And my parents gave me a check to help pay off some of my tuition. And you know, we had my birthday party at Ashley's house, so we were about to leave and go home. when Ashley and Robbie surprised me with one more present. So they hand me this like little printed out laminated packet, okay? And it says, "Happy birthday, so proud of you for all that you've accomplished and for the many more accomplishments you are going to have in the future," or something like that, okay? And then I turn the page and it says, "We hope you have fun in the Bahamas. Sincerely, Ashley, Mom, and Dad." So I'm like fucking ecstatic, okay? But then I was like, wait a second, who's the other ticket for? Because first of all, they all knew that I didn't have no friends, okay? Because I kept them up to date on all the tea. They knew that I didn't have no fucking boyfriend. Well, Ashley and my parents are like, well, we're all gonna be out of town, so Robbie decided that he would stay back and he would take you to the Bahamas since you also have no friends. Here's my thing, nobody thought this was weird, okay? Because like I said, they were literally like my second parents. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I need to pack. I don't have anything to wear. What the fuck? And Robbie's like, don't worry. Tomorrow we're going to go shopping. You know, you're going to get some new outfits. And then you'll spend the night here and we will head to the airport at 4 in the morning. So fast forward to the next day. My parents gone. Ashley's gone. So I meet Robbie at the car and we head to the mall. Which I'm not gonna lie, this was a little bit weird because usually when we would go to the mall, it would be Ashley and I going into all the stores and then it would be Robbie just walking around the mall and then we would call him whenever we needed him to pay for all of our shit. So I literally just expected him to be running around, you know, the mall while I shopped, you know, and then I would call him and be like, hey, you know, like, ran up a $2,000 tab, come in here and please pay it. No. He was coming into stores with me and he would just like sit like in like the place where you sit and you wait for someone to try on their clothes. They come out, you know, they show them to you. They're like, oh my God, look at me. You know, period sis, you look so good. Yeah, he was, yeah. So it was like a little weird for me, you know. It was super weird whenever I was trying on bathing suits and I wasn't coming out because I felt awkward and weird. And he's like, it's taken you a while to put on those bathing suits, you know, like, do you need a bigger size or do you need a smaller size? And I'm like, no, I already tried a few of them on, you know, I'm good. And he was like, oh, well, you didn't show me. And I'm like, what the fuck? So, you know, and then I'm like, oh, you know, like, I didn't know if you wanted to see them. He was like, yeah, I definitely want to see them. So I'm like, okay, do you want me to try them on again? And he's like, only if you feel up to it. He was like, but I would love to see them. So I'm like, okay. A little bit weird, but okay. So I tried all of them on again and I came out and, you know, he was telling me which ones he thinks were good, which ones he thinks were ugly. Yeah. And it was weird because every single one that he thought was ugly was like low-key family appropriate. Yeah. I was getting a little bit weirded out, but then I was like, I've known him my whole life. He's not no freaking I don't even know if I could say it in this video, but you guys already know what I'm getting at. Anyways, and then he took me to this one dress store, right? And the only time I had ever been to this dress store was whenever I was buying my graduation dress because this place is really expensive. And he was like, I want you to pick out a dress here. And I was like, well, isn't this stuff like really expensive? He was like, yeah, but it's fine. You know, we're gonna go to a really nice dinner one night. You know, it's your birthday / college vacation, you know, we're gonna make it special. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I went in there and I picked out the dress. I didn't get his opinion on anything that had to do with the dress, you know, because there were a lot of skimpy dresses in there, you know, and I just like was not about it. So fast forward, you know, we're done shopping. We're actually on the plane at this point. And you know, we're talking and he's asking me if I have any boyfriends or any guys that I like and that I'm interested in pursuing. And I'm like, no, I don't really think anybody really likes me like that, ha ha ha. And then he grabs my hand all serious and he's like, I don't ever want you to talk about yourself that way. You are the most beautiful girl that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was like, low-key feeling weird. I'm like, you know, because like he never, this just felt way too intimate for my liking. And I thought that something was wrong with me because I'm looking at him less of like a person who's like, this sounds gross now, but like a father figure. And now I'm starting to question whether I have a crush on him. So then he goes and he puts his hand on my thigh and he rests his head back and falls asleep. And I'm just like, yo, what the actual? So, you know, we get to the hotel and we put our stuff in there and I'm looking around and I realize there's only one bed. Yeah. one bed for a week and a half vacation. So at this point, things just keep getting weirder and weirder, you know? Like whenever I was younger and I used to sleep over their house, you know, I used to sleep in the bed with him and Ashley. But I am 19 years old. No. No, 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 no. So we get in there and he's like, oh crap, I must have ordered the wrong suite, you know, they must have put us in the wrong room. So, you know, he calls down there, he's like, hey, like, I'm pretty sure that I ordered the wrong room. Do you guys have any suites available that have 2 beds? And they were like, no, I'm sorry, like, we're all booked up until next week. Yeah. So he gets off the phone and he's like, you know, I don't mind sharing a bed, but if you don't want to, then I could just sleep on the floor. I felt low-key really manipulated, I'm not gonna lie, because it's like, obviously, you know, I'm not gonna make you sleep on the fucking floor, okay? So I'm like, I'm not gonna make you sleep on the floor, you know, it's fine, I don't mind, even though I really did. Well, later on we go out to dinner that night, right? And we're at this bar and we're both drinking and we get to talking and he's like, listen, I don't know what it is, but ever since you've turned 18, I've been super attracted to you and I really don't want you to think this is weird. Too late. So obviously I think this is fucking weird, and it's even weirder that while he's saying this, he's rubbing my lower thigh, like right above the knee. Kind of weird. And so I just don't know what to say, and I'm like, oh, you know, like, yeah, I feel the same about you. And he's like, oh God, really? Oh my goodness, thank God. Because I was so embarrassed. Oh. Like, you should be. You really should be. He's like, I just think you're one of the best people I've ever met. I think about you every single day, almost all day. You know, and Ashley gets jealous sometimes because of how much I talk about you, but I just can't help it. And that's whenever I ask, I'm like, yeah, how does Ashley feel about all this? Like, does she know how you feel, or have you just been keeping those feelings to yourself? And he's like, well, like I said, she's jealous of you, so like I haven't been able to admit my feelings. And I'm like, oh my God, you poor thing. Like, that must be so terrible to hold in all those feelings. And he's like, yeah, it really is. Like, I'm really happy you understand. Okay, bud. So eventually, after a few drinks and a lot of weird conversations, we go back to the hotel room and I go to get dressed into my pajamas, but then I realize there is no door. There are no doors. None whatsoever in this hotel room. None. So that's cool, right? Yeah, that's amazing. So I tell him like, hey, I'm gonna go get changed on the balcony real quick, you know. And he's like, you don't have to, you know, we're all adults here. And I'm like, yeah, but Ashley might not feel comfortable with us getting changed in the same room. I mean, we're already sharing the same bed. And you just admitted you had feelings for me. And this really upset him. Okay, like after this, he's moving things around aggressively, mumbling and whispering to himself. So then after that, of course, I'm afraid to like, you know, say anything else that might hurt his feelings. So I just get into bed and go to sleep. And then I wake up in the morning and he is cuddling me, full on cuddling me. So I didn't know what to do. Should I wake him up? Should I get up? If I get up, I'll wake him up. Or do I just pretend I'm sleeping until he wakes up? I pretended to sleep until he woke up. So he woke up about like 20 minutes later. So he got up, we got changed, and we went and did a few of the activities that we were supposed to participate in that day. And then we went back to the bar, we had a few more drinks, and listen, I don't know what the they put in these mixed drinks in like different countries, but listen, I pretty much blacked out for 5 hours straight. Next thing I remember is waking up on the bed under the covers next to him with no clothes on. And I turn over and I look at him and he's sleeping. And then I turn over and look at my nightstand. There's an open condom wrapper. Yep. And then I go on my phone and I see that he had texted me something. We took videos. Yep. And it was my idea. So when he wakes up, you know, he's like, oh my God, I had a lot of fun with you last night. And I'm like, I'm sure you fucking did. So I'm like super weirded out, as anybody would be in my situation. And now that a few years have passed since this situation, I definitely can tell that he was grooming me, you know, like now that I'm older. But back then I was blind. Like this whole week, you know, he would just make me feel really uncomfortable. And anytime that he saw he was making me uncomfortable, he would just buy me a bunch of stuff and like make me think that all of this was okay, you know. He's like, Ashley and I have been having issues now for a while anyways, you know. She just doesn't want to tell you because she didn't want you to be upset about her and I splitting up. like the day after we had slept together, I was like really off and really weird about it, and he could definitely tell. And he's like, hey, you know, for your birthday, you know, I wanted to get you some things, but I want you to pick them out. So he put his computer in front of me and he let me order a bunch of stuff off of luxury websites, you know. And then he was like, by the way, like, I know your parents didn't get you a car like you wanted. He's like, what car would you think of getting if you got one? And he bought the car for me. Let's just put it that way. A very expensive car for me. Bought it outright. Brand new. And of course, you know, he did all this so that way I would feel normal about like all of this stuff, you know. I wouldn't think that any of this was weird. You know, he's pretty much bribing me with money. Anyway, so eventually I'm participating in all this stuff with him willingly, you know. We're going out on dates. He's pretty much acting like he's my boyfriend and I'm acting like I'm his girlfriend. You know, like we hold hands, we do stuff back at the hotel room. And then he said that we needed to have a talk before we left. And I'm pretty sure that he was like gonna break up with me. So, you know, it's 3 or 4 hours before we have to be on our flight back home. And he's like, listen, I need to know if you feel the same way, okay? I don't want to be with Ashley anymore. I want to be with you. Ashley and I aren't even really married, so it won't even be hard for me to get out of that situation with her. And you could just tell your parents that you're going off to college, and then we'll go and we'll move somewhere far away. Whatever house you want, it's yours. Even if you wanted to go to college, we could move to wherever you wanted to go. You won't be stuck going to some college that you can only go to because that's the only one your parents can afford. We'll buy a house there and then you'll just go to school there. And I was like, this is all a lot to take in, so like I want a few days to think about it, you know. And he's like, all right, fine, but like I need to know ASAP. So, you know, I am thinking about this, and like I feel like the only reason why I had been thinking about it was because, like I said, at this point in my life I was pretty much like exiled by all my friends. Like I was shunned by them. They would not talk to me, they would not speak to me, and I didn't really have anybody else in my life, you know. So at this point it's seeming like the best decision. You know, what's that saying, like desperate times call for desperate measures? I think, I don't even know if like that would be a good saying to use here. And he's like, all right, as soon as you know what you want to do, you need to text me so that way we can get everything in order. So I'm like, all right, whatever, you know, get home, go to Ashley's house because my mom said that they were all outside having a fire. And I thought it was going to be easier to see Ashley than it actually was, because when I got there, I really couldn't even look at her. Like, I felt sick. So, you know, they're all asking me how the trip was, and I'm just standing there, like, feeling like I'm gonna fucking puke. And I didn't mean to act awkward, but everybody could tell that I just was not being myself. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually feeling, like, super sick. I ate something on the plane that just hasn't been sitting right, you know. I need to go to bed, and I'll tell you guys about it later, okay? Got myself out of that one. They're like, okay, honey, you know, go do what you need to do. We'll talk later. So, you know, I go upstairs and I'm like panicking like really bad. So I call Robbie and he answers the phone. He's like, hey, is everything okay? And I'm like, no, I feel like they know everything. And he's like, oh God, did you say something? And I was like, no, I didn't say shit, but still, like, they can definitely tell that I was acting awkward. So the next day I come down to eat breakfast with my family and they're all asking me how the trip was, you know, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden my mom gets a call from Ashley. And all I hear whenever she answers the phone is screaming and crying. And my mom's like, okay, calm down, you know, come over, we'll talk about it, like, just chill out for a second, take a breather. And the last thing I hear Ashley say is my name, and my mom gives me the look. If you don't know what the look is, you are lucky, okay? The look is whenever they tilt their head down and they stare at you with their eyebrows raised. Like kind of like that. I can't even do it right. I literally can't do it right, but it's literally the mom death stare that could literally put you 6 feet under, literally. So, you know, she hangs up the phone and she's like, is there anything else you want to tell me that happened on the trip? And I look at her and I'm like, no, why? And she's like, well, Ashley found a bunch of condoms in Robbie's suitcase and some of them were used. And I'm like, okay, what does that have to do with me? Like, what, you know? Kind of trying to talk her into being like, you know, Robbie, you know, cheated on her or something. I have no idea what the heck she's talking about. And she's like, all right, well, we'll see. She was like, but if you have anything to do with this, she was like, your ass is grass. So then I pull the whole, you're really not gonna believe me card. And then, you know, I run upstairs and I call Robbie and I'm like sitting there on the phone. Hey.
Hi, how is it? It's amazing, but wait, can you talk for a sec?
And guess who answers the phone? None other than Ashley.
Bruh, you tripping?
She's like, hey, you cannot call this fucking number anymore. She's like, I'll be over to talk to you, your mother, and your father in 5 minutes. The 10 minutes goes by, nobody's at the house yet, so I'm like, oh my god, thank god. Hopefully she, you know, like, had just like a moment of clarity where she realized that it couldn't have been my fault or me. Then I get a call from Robbie, and I answer and I don't say anything just in case, you know, it's Ashley calling. And he's like, all right, so Ashley knows everything. Now it's your choice. We can stay here and deal with the repercussions of what we did, or we can do what I said before, which is pack our shit up and leave. Or we don't even have to pack anything. I'll buy us all new stuff and we'll leave. So at that point, you know, I'm even more convinced that I should just run away with him. But then I'm also like, well, maybe I should see what Ashley has to say. He was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna be there for that. And he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna give you till 8 o'clock tonight to make your decision, because I'm going to New York at 11 o'clock and you can decide whether you want to come with me or not. So my mother calls me downstairs to the kitchen while I'm on the phone with him, and I'm like, all right, I think she's here. I gotta go. Bye, I'll text you. So, you know, and the worst part is I walk down the stairs, right? And down the stairs leads you straight into the kitchen. So they're sitting there at the island, you know, and my dad and my mom are facing me and they're just staring at me. And then Ashley, she turns around and she's just staring at me too. So, you know, she starts talking and she's like, you know, first I had thought that he was cheating on me with someone random, you know, because sometimes he has slip-ups whenever we go on vacation and he gets too drunk. But when I ask him about these things, usually he's truthful, and he denied everything this time. That was the first red flag. And then I went through his phone and I saw a video of you screwing my husband in the hotel room. Yeah, yikes, I forgot about that one. So now my mom and my father are staring at me like I'm some sort of whore. And my mom's like, so do you have anything to say for yourself at all? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Ashley. Like, I did not want any of this stuff to happen. He kept doing stuff to make it seem like everything that we were doing was okay, because he said that you and him were having issues and we're gonna get divorced anyways. And when I did feel bad and try to talk to him about it, he would just manipulate me with money and trying to buy me things. And then all of a sudden she starts screaming at the top of her voice. She's like, stop trying to play the fucking victim. She's like, you're a whore. You know exactly what you're doing. You're 19 years old. It's not like you're 16 years old. So at this point, I'm like, all right. She's like, you'll never be allowed at my house, around my husband, or blah, 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 blah. Just a whole bunch of bullshit. So then I look at her and I was like, well, I won't need to come over to see your husband anymore, because we're going to be living together. He wants to leave you. He's going to leave you. And him and I are going to be going to New York tonight at 11 o'clock. And then that's whenever I spin around, run up the stairs just in case, like, you know, somebody tries to attack me, like get eaten by the wolves, you know. But what happens? The three musketeers run after me and they're like screaming and yelling, trying to stop me. And my dad's like, if you leave, I'm not paying for your college. And Ashley and my mom kind of looked at him like he's stupid, because they already knew that Robbie was gonna pay for it. So what did I do? I grabbed the check out of my book bag and I throw it at him. You can keep that $5,000 because it's not even gonna put a fucking dent in my student loans. Also, Robbie's gonna be paying for everything. So thanks though. And then I walked past them, like I literally made a path, like freaking just walked into them, you know. And as soon as I go to walk away, Ashley grabs my arm and she looks at me and she's like, you are not gonna walk out that fucking door. She was like, no matter how much pain this situation has caused me, I still look at you like you're my daughter. And what he did to you on that trip was disgusting. He lied and manipulated you. He bribed you. And I should be screaming at him right now and not you. And I'm so sorry for all the things that I said to you earlier. I'm just really heartbroken about everything right now. So I turn and I look at her and I'm like, that sounds like a you problem. Rip my wrist from her and I start running again. And Robbie's already waiting outside because I gave him the go ahead text, you know. And he's sitting outside in a black Escalade waiting for me, you know, in the back seat with the driver in the front, you know, bougie as fuck. And then, you know, I get in the car and everybody's like standing, you know, in the driveway of my parents. And I throw my phone out the window for them because I don't need their shit now. So as we're like slowly driving away, Ashley is running after the car, screaming, throwing her shoes at the car, you know, screaming, we need to talk, blah, 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 blah. So then, you know, he's like, all right, stop the car. You know, they slow down, they stop. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, it is really scary to see how mean he could be to somebody who he's been married to for over 20 years. He was like, what do you mean? What divorce papers? We were never fucking married. And she was like all surprised and like shocked. And he was like, yeah, I already knew you were gonna try to take everything if I left you. And he's like, but you know what? I'm gonna be generous. He was like, I'm gonna give you 3 months before I put the house up, so you can pack all your shit and get out. So after that, him and I went to New York. We spent a few nights at a hotel there. And then we ended up buying a house somewhere. We got married. We actually got married though. And it's been 2 years and my family's still trying to get in contact with me. And I stalk them on Facebook now and then. And I'm pretty sure that Ashley is actually living with them. But you know, they just keep asking me to come home. And I'm pretty sure they realized that telling me to come back and live with them was not going to work. So they were like, can you please at least just come visit us? Like, we miss you so much. You know, you're our only kid. They're not mad at me anymore. But what they don't know is I am 7 months pregnant with twins that belong to Robbie. Okay, everybody, that is the end of today's story time. This girl did ask for an opinion from you guys on whether she should mend things with her parents or just kind of let it go at this point and consider them not a part of her life anymore. But other than that, if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of me, maybe hit that subscribe button down below. Any products that were used in this video will also be listed in the description. Not only that, but if you want to know how to send in your anonymous story time, or you already know how and you want to send it in, both of those links are also down below in the description. And if you want to keep up with me on any of my social medias, they are all listed down below in the description also. But other than that, I will see you guys Saturday with a new story time.